I am going to give you a massive secret technique about timing. I want you to know this and put this ace in your back pocket, because this is the arsenal you need to ensure that your project or your first date or your marriage will go incredibly well. I'm about to give you my secret. Get ready for me to unleash this upon you and change your life forever. Even if you don't know astrology that well, you can use this timing technique to improve pretty much every single situation in your life. So I'm going to give you 3 mega tips on finding the perfect time to have a great date, the perfect time to close on a project, the perfect time to walk down the aisle, the perfect time to give birth, if you have a choice. So stay tuned. I'm also going to give you a bonus tip at the end that nobody ever talks about. Oh my God, I don't understand. I like to do videos where it's like, why can't I find a video on this? But after you've got this in your arsenal, oh my God, you will thank me forever. So let's say you're interested in somebody and you want to meet them for the very first time. What I have to tell you is the very first time you meet somebody, you are creating the birth chart of your relationship, and that relationship will follow the themes inside that birth chart until you get engaged. So this is on the romantic side of life. And then when you get engaged, that first meeting birth chart will be replaced by your engagement chart. Then after you are engaged and you become married, your marriage chart will eclipse both the first meeting chart and the engagement chart. And the marriage chart will then become your relationship chart until the end of that relationship, with either death or divorce. So how do we ensure the perfect first date? Even if you don't know astrology, I'm going to tell you the best times to go on a first date to ensure that it will launch. And I'm going to tell you, I have so much experience in this arena. I really do. I should have my PhD in timing for perfect relationships. So the first thing is I do not want you to say hello. I do not want you to form the union inside the period of Mercury in retrograde. I have never seen a relationship really take off in a permanency when it has been born or birthed inside Mercury in retrograde. And what do I mean by that? Do I mean that you're on an app and you say hello in Mercury in retrograde and you guys keep texting? Not really. You can meet and you can say hi, but don't show up in the flesh and blood inside Mercury in retrograde. And if you have to fib to your person and say that you're going out of town, or your sick mother needs tending to, or your dog is, broke its leg and you can't leave the house, then do that. Do whatever you need to do. I don't usually like people to start off with, no, Mercury's in retrograde and my astrologer, Meredith from Soul Navigation, said it's a really bad idea and our relationship won't launch if we meet inside Mercury in retrograde. I'll tell you right now, you won't have a relationship if you start that way with 90% of the people out there. Trust me, you won't, because I've been there. I've done that. I'm like, well, Mercury's in retrograde. We really should wait 3.5 weeks and then we can say hello. Okay, bye-bye, lady. It was nice meeting you. I'm not that interested. After all, I'm not that interested, you big fat kook. I know astrology is getting more popular and everything, and you think it's like all safe to talk about, but it's really not. Why? Because they're impatient and they feel like they're better than any Mercury in retrograde and we can overcome the odds and I'm so good. Why would it not work out? It has nothing to do with that. It's just that the vibrational level is wonky and you can't create a connection. Can you create a connection? Yeah, but it's going to be plagued and riddled and pockmarked with problems, with issues of getting together, with logistics, with fabrications, with, then you find out that he really is renting that mansion. He doesn't own it and he's renting it with, 6 other people. And he presented his mansion as if he owned it free and clear. So then you have to deal with, you're not really telling me the truth. I didn't care that you didn't own your mansion, but if you would have just told me the truth about it, or you find out, she really is 45 years old and she said she was 32. Interesting. Wouldn't have cared that you're 45 years old, but now that you lied about it, now I kind of care. You really are about 45 pounds overweight, but in your photo from 10 years ago, which you no longer look like, that kind of bugs. Not that I care. I don't mind that you're 45 pounds overweight and you're attractive, but you know what? You lied. You fibbed. You didn't tell me the truth. That's Mercury in retrograde dating. And then all of a sudden you get ghosted, So if you got ghosted, or if the relationship fell apart for just a reason you don't even know, go check and see if you met inside Mercury in retrograde. Don't have your first meeting. Don't have your first meeting. Don't have your first meeting when Mercury is in retrograde. You can say hello on an app, but what I prefer you do is get off the app, get off online, and close yourself up a little bit and go within and reflect inside of you and do your own work on your own self, and don't really be open for business inside Mercury in retrograde. I'm going to tell you a secret. A long, long time ago, like back in 1998, when I first started doing astrology, I started astrology a little bit earlier than that, but I was kind of a novice still. I was just starting out. I met this incredible man. We hit it off. It was at the Sunset in Ballard in Seattle. I am telling you, the chemistry was so hot between the two of us. It was so fun. I don't even remember this guy's name. I was smart enough to get his birthday. Woohoo. And I got it slyly somehow. We just all night, we just bantered. We had so much fun, danced to the music, and it was like the Posies cover band or something. It was just rocking. And I mean, I had a blast. I was so excited about this guy. I really felt like, oh my God, I just met my soulmate. And I knew he felt the same way about me. I mean, the conversational chemistry was just impalpable. I was just giddy and gleeful and joyful. And I skipped all the way home because I lived in the neighborhood. And I got home and I got my astrology software out and I looked at his birthday and I looked at my birthday. And I actually did say, oh shit, he's a Gemini. Don't hate me. Gemini's just a little hard on me. Romantically, that is. I love my Geminis. Don't get me wrong. But this was just like, oh shit, he's a Gemini. But we'll get through it. No big deal. Then I looked at the transits, right? And so when I looked at the transits, I was like, oh my God, Mercury is in retrograde. No, Mercury cannot be in retrograde. It was too good. You know what? It's going to be okay. This is going to work out. He's going to call me like he said. He's going to text me. We're going to have fun. We are going to overcome this. It was fireworks, and I believe in chemistry, and I believe that this is going to work out. And I just knew it would. I just knew that we were going to overcome Mercury in retrograde meeting. And the chart, I knew to take a snapshot at the moment we said hello. And I looked at my watch when we said hello. By the way, if you're going to do astrology, you need to wear a watch because you need to measure your life in time. So I knew we said hello at 7:20. It didn't matter because Mercury was in retrograde the whole entire day. I just spaced it. And so I did the chart for 7:20 and what did it look like? And there it was, Mercury in retrograde in the third house. I was just devastated, but I knew he was going to call. So fast forward, did he call? No, he didn't call. Did he text? No. Did he show up at the Sunset again next weekend where I thought he probably would? No. Did I talk to him again? No. Did I see him again? No. It never even took off. Why? Well, he's Gemini, probably changed his mind, but he probably was truthfully unavailable the whole entire time. He probably has a girlfriend. So when Mercury's in retrograde, I'm telling you, you don't see all the facts. You don't get all the data. You don't get all the details. Big things are missing that you don't know about. That is a true story. So I'm telling you, don't meet inside Mercury in retrograde. Can you say hello on your phone? Yes. And then you can say, my sick mother really needs me to fly back to Africa and I'm going to be out of the country and unavailable. But the next time we could meet, I'm back on, and then you go figure out when it goes direct. Now we can talk shadow periods. Shadow periods are really real, but I say the minute Mercury gets out of retrograde, you can go on your date. The longer you wait after Mercury in retrograde, the shadow period is 2 weeks, and the longer you can wait, the better. But I still say it's fair game anytime after Mercury in retrograde, even in the shadow period. Yes, I prefer that the shadow period passes, but it's not imperative. It is imperative, however, that you do not have your first meeting in the flesh and blood in Mercury in retrograde. Okay, tip number 2. The very best time to meet somebody when Mercury's not in retrograde is during the hours of 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Why is that? Because the sun will most likely be in the 7th house, especially if you live in the United States. And I want you to check that where you're at. So between 4 and 7, just run a transit chart where you live. And it might be 4:30 to 7:30, or it might be 5 to 7. It might be 5 to 7. So in the United States, between the hours of 4 and 6, the sun is in the 7th house. The 7th house is partnerships. The 7th house is ruled by Venus, and the 7th house creates incredible romance. It's also sunset, and it's also happy hour. So it's perfect. So if you don't know anything else about astrology or your chart, just trust me and make your meeting happen between 4 and 6 p.m. at night. Those are the best hours, okay? And you can meet any hours you want, with the exception of do not meet for the very first time. I'm only talking the first time. I'm not talking every time. I'm only talking about getting that birth chart for the relationship with the sun in the 7th house, because then you have a chance for longevity, union, and marriage and love. Now, for the very first meeting, when not to meet the person, do not meet the person between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Do not get married between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Do not sign a contract between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. No, wherever you live. When the sun is in the 8th house, that's a no. No. Why? That is the house of loss. That is the house of death, sex, and taxes. And it sounds fun with sex there. No, it's not. Not for the hello. You do not want that. I'm just telling you. And it doesn't mean that there will even be like a sexual vibe. It's not true. It's too dark for a hello. It's just flat out too dark, and it is the hour of loss. It's the hour of transformation. So we don't want that as the theme song for our whole entire relationship until we get engaged. We don't want that. So do not meet for the very first time between the hours of 2 and 4. Do not have your first meeting under a void of course moon. How do you know when the moon is void of course? Well, you got to go online and you got to go get a table of the void of course moon, or you can get an app that tells you when the moon goes void. And I don't want you to do anything during a void of course moon. I don't want you to buy a house, sign a contract, buy a car, go on a date, go on a first date. Nope. If you have to sign contracts and it's under a void of course moon, you have to have stall tactics. Now that you guys are doing astrology, you have to master the art of stalling. Stalling. Read my lips. You will stall. Do you know what stall means? You're going to slow it down so you can get it on your time. This is now called your time. And you're going to wear a watch, and you're going to know your transits. And you can get a moon calendar, and moon calendars will always tell you when the moon is void of course. Void of course moons do nothing. They go into sluggish relaxation. Nothing can take off. I don't want you to even launch your podcast. I don't want you to sign your book signing deal. I don't want you to even be on your book signing party. Don't throw your 50th birthday party on a void of course moon. No, nobody will come. Nobody will show up. There's no energy inside a void of course moon. So trust me, not enough people are talking about this, and I don't know why. Okay, are you ready for my next tip? It's a big one. I really don't love when you meet for the very first time when Venus is in retrograde. Venus in retrograde is very tricky, and I would love for you right after this video to go watch my video on Venus in retrograde. I have a whole giant video on it. It is so powerful. You will just learn so much about how it operates in the chart and through the houses. Now, when Venus is in retrograde, it's there for a while. it can be like love gone wrong or love doesn't launch. It's just so important because there's usually an illusion or a delusion, or there is something wrong with the love button in this encounter or in this meeting. Like with Mercury in retrograde, the logistics might be hard in getting it together, or you might feel ghosted. But in Venus in retrograde, it's almost like love cannot be unleashed. Love cannot be launched. And you might find out that the person that you're interested, like, still lives in the same home with their spouse, but in a separate room. And so it's premature, like they can't really invite you over. Or you might see that they are finishing their divorce. Now, I am talking only about the very first meeting. Don't meet inside Venus in retrograde. And Venus stays in retrograde for 6 full weeks. So it's a long period of time. So when Venus does go into retrograde, it does stay there for a very, very long time. What I have found is that we might be believing in a fairy tale, or we might be presented with something that's too good to be true. We might see that the person that we love or have a crush on isn't reciprocating or can't reciprocate, lied about living with their mother still. Who they say they are is not who they are. So if you do meet somebody in Venus in retrograde that you really like, I really recommend that you don't have your first date. You stall it, stall tactic again. You stall it until Venus goes direct, and then it can launch. So you can talk, you can chit chat, but I just don't want you to form a really deep bond inside Venus in retrograde. You'll see that the tide eventually goes against you. Now, it might look and feel like unicorns and La La Land. By the way, that was my favorite movie. I love that movie. You might see that like it's a fairy tale and it's beautiful, gorgeous love story that launches, but then it doesn't stick. It falls apart, or you guys can't get together, or the logistics are off. You have something in your life that you're still tied up in, and there's an emotional unavailability. This is a time for self-love and self-focus. And so it oftentimes just does not gel. And if it does gel, it will crumble later. So I don't want to make you insecure. I just want to set you up for success. I also don't like signing financial documents or housing documents or buying anything. I would buy a computer or a new iPhone, but I wouldn't buy like a giant sound system for my house or a giant car purchase or a house. I wouldn't probably even want to buy an animal at that time. If there was no money and I was just rescuing an animal, I would do that in a Venus in retrograde, but I wouldn't purchase an animal. I wouldn't buy a horse in Venus in retrograde. And if I did like go to the horse track or something and Venus was in retrograde, I'd make really small bets. So I would not gamble at that time either. And I wouldn't invest my money in the stock market in a Venus in retrograde period. And if I did, I would do only an amount that I could lose. So I would play it safely. So Venus in retrograde is my bonus tip for you. Not enough people mention it again, and it is critical. I also would never get married, never in a Venus in retrograde. Oh my God. Look, if you want to get married or engaged, let's say you have your relationship chart, right? And now you're getting engaged. I cannot stress enough, please, please, please. So you have a chance at real healthy, awakened love and longevity inside your relationship. Get a reading with an astrologer to time the engagement. So if you're the one proposing, you need to propose at a really strong time. And I would say a strong time would be between the hours of 10 and 12 noon, 12 noon and 2 p.m. Then 4 to 6 would be my favorite. But let me just tell you, I'm going to just give you a couple more secrets, can I? I'm spilling all the beans right now. I would not propose and I would not get married and I would not have a first date when the sun is in the 12th house. Not that you're having 6 a.m. dates, right? That's 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I mean, I don't think I'd meet for breakfast. Has anybody ever had a successful breakfast date? For a first date, I mean, just tell me, leave me a comment below and tell me about your first dates and what is in the natal chart of your first date. All you have to do is go buy a natal chart like mine. You can buy a natal chart for your first date if you want. If you've got the time, the date, and the year, just send your information in that way. And we'll run it. We'll run your relationship chart. And you should be reading that chart, because that chart in all its aspects and wherever the sun is in whatever house is important, because that is the alchemy between the two of you. So there's me, then there's you, and then there's us. That is the us chart. I know we can do that with composites too, but the timing that you first met is so stinking critical. So let an astrologer help you pick out a perfect time. What I was going to say about the 12th house and the 11th house, if you have your very first date between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., by the way, again, has anybody done that? The sun is in the 12th house, and that's a house of illness and institutions and self-undoing and loss. I think that would be very, very stressful, and you guys might meet or merge inside your wounds. And I want to know if somebody's met between 6 and 8 a.m., if their relationship really lasted and if their relationship is sincerely fulfilling. I'm sure there is somebody out there, but the odds of that are pretty slim. It's not the 8th house though. And then if you meet between 8 and 10 a.m., the sun is in the 11th house. And check your time zones, okay? Because they might be a little bit different depending on if you live in Greenland or Russia or close to the North Pole or South Pole, it's really, really wonky times. I'm talking about when the sun is in the 11th house, that's usually in the United States, that's between 8 and 10 a.m. When the sun is in that house, you usually end up better friends than lovers because that is the house of Aquarius, natally. That is a platonic house. So you usually end up with a best friend, which is awesome. A lot of people marry their best friends. That's just not the kind of marriage I really want, right? I got a lot of best friends. I really want more intimacy than that in my marriage. I do like meeting the person between 10 and 12 because you get a 10th house. This is a power couple house. And so you're going to have a lot of status in your relationship. You're going to be really well known in the community. And then I like 12 to 2 because that's the house of Sagittarius. Woo, how fun is that? Have passport, will travel, will see the world, will do multiculturals. You might even have somebody who is of a different ethnicity than you. That's like exploring the whole world together. And that is just the house of fun and joy. And who doesn't want that? Right? That's like join the Mile High Club house. So that's super fun. And then I really don't like meeting when the sun is in the 6th house because that's going to be like of service and hard work, health and fitness. That's lovely. But that's the house of work. And I find that 6th house relationships become jobs. They literally become jobs. But so I do say skip dinner. So I don't like between 6 and 8. But why don't you meet for drinks afterwards and meet between 8 and 10 p.m. I know it sounds like a booty call, doesn't it? But if you meet in the summer, hey, here on the West Coast, 8 and 10, the sun is barely setting. It's not that quirky, but if you meet between 8 and 10, that's the other house of joy. That's the 5th house. That's joy, sex, fun, gambling. I mean, that is like, let the frickin' good times roll. And if you think about it, the story that I just told about the Mercury in retrograde, remember the time I told you I met the person? It was like 7:07 or 7:27. Yeah, we started talking at that time. That was the job house. Yeah. So that relationship would have been work for one of us, probably me. God probably spared me, truthfully, if I'm being honest. I really like the 8 to 10 p.m. And I also like 10 to 12 because that builds family. And then after that, nothing good happens. Don't meet after 12 midnight, okay, people, for your very first date. Nothing good will come of that. I promise you. That's so funny. Anyways, I want you guys to learn astrology with me. I want to give you a couple dates. So this means that you kind of have to get off the apps a little bit. You have to do some reinvesting in your own self. So Venus is going to go in retrograde coming right up on December 19th, 2021, and it's going to last all the way until January 29th, 2022. So during that time period, that's a time of self-love and self-reflection, and I don't recommend that you meet anybody for the very first time during that time or do any of those other things that I talked about. But if you meet somebody before December 19th, you can date during that time period. Also, I want to tell you guys that Mercury in retrograde starts on January 14th and it goes all the way through February 3rd. So would I travel during these times? Yes, I would prepare for a headache. I would prepare for a flat tire on the way to the airport, so I'd give myself a little extra time. I would prepare for my bag to be too heavy. I would prepare for me to get beep, beep, beep because my watch went off during during the little scanner, and then I have to get my bags inspected, and maybe even I put my lotion or my toothpaste in my bag and I have to have the whole thing swiped, so I plan for extra time. But I would travel during Mercury in retrograde and Venus in retrograde. I just wouldn't go on a first date, and I wouldn't get married. So I kind of gave you a bonus tip with the Venus in retrograde, and then I gave you a bonus tip with the houses and how to time your very first date. So what I want you to do first, I want you to become a super supporter and go deep with me. And I am going to do a new exclusive members only video where I actually read real super supporters charts. If you join, it's only 29 cents a day. It's so worth it. And you get all my extra bonus material where I teach you about soulmates and how to read a marriage chart, all that. It's just fantastic. We go in really, really deep, and you get a chance to have your own chart read, and you get a discount reading with anybody, any of the readers on my team, with the exception of me. You get to have a super supporter discount reading. So if you don't know your birth time, you can work with one of us to get it rectified. We do rectifications, we do progressions, we do transits, we do predictions, we do your natal chart, we do composite charts. I mean, it's so exciting and it's so riveting. So you can find the links to all that below. I hope that you guys will have a good first date. I also want to tell you this: if you're struggling in your relationship and you want to make it like you want to make a new go at it, or you guys have broken up, but you already know each other, do not get back together during Venus in retrograde or Mercury in retrograde. No, 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 no. Don't try to patch things up with a brand new beginning in Venus in retrograde and Mercury in retrograde. Just buy time and let yourself have a fresh start and a clean slate. Like if you have broken up, a lot of exes return during those 2 periods of time and they want to make up. That's not a good time to do it. Just say, thank you. I love that. I've missed you. Can I think about it? I'll get back to you. And you can text, but don't meet after you've broken up to repair the relationship until Venus goes direct. You can do it the day after Venus goes direct, as long as there's not a void of course moon. No void of course moon. And when Mercury goes direct, you can do that immediately. You don't have to wait for the shadow period to go away. Go back, rewind, and pick the hour. I highly recommend happy hour, or between 8 and 10, or the other positive ones too. 10 and 12 and 12 and 2 are good as well. To reignite, reunite and reignite. Reunited and it feels so good. Yeah, when Mercury is not in retrograde, and when Venus is not in retrograde, and when there's not a void of course moon. I hope you guys loved this video. I love being here with you, and I hope you'll become a super supporter, and please subscribe to the channel so my videos get pushed out to more people, because I don't know why I'm getting buried and I don't know why. So share this video, and I really just want you to know I appreciate you. Take good care. Bye for now.